Hello and welcome to the Growing in Business interview series. I'm your host, Fleming Johnson, and today I'm joined by Scotty Sigmon, who is president at Hippo Media Group. Scotty, thank you so much for joining us. Would you like to kick us off with a brief background as to who you are and what you do?
Sure. My name is Scotty Sigmon, and I've been blessed and thrust into being the president of Hippo Media Group. I have the distinct pleasure of working with my two of my closest friends and previous work colleagues at iHeartMedia, Skip Wilson and Gene Austin. We started Hippo Media Group about just coming up on 2 years ago. And what do? We make businesses more money. We're a lot like other marketing agencies, except our clients love us is kind of the catchphrase that we've adopted. But yeah, no, we found riches and niches and are really good at moving the needle from a digital standpoint, but also see the need for traditional advertising as well. The top of the funnel is still important, and we still look at radio and TV and billboard, and although it's changed and become OTT and podcast and other different ways that we consume that media, we still think that branding is important. And yeah, that's what we do. We're basically a marketing agency, and yeah, I hope that answered your question.
When did you get started again?
About 2 years ago,
Okay.
January of 2023, we had we all left iHeart in our own fashion. But some of us had a non-compete, so we waited out our non-compete, and we're very above board on that. Now they don't matter. So, we kind of timing wasn't perfect on that one, but we did everything above board, um, and it's just worked out. We've grown a pretty great book of business, and we've got amazing clients all over the country. We mostly work with car dealerships. We've in some capacity work with over 120 car dealerships across the country. We have just about 100 hunting preserves, and then we have a smattering of other verticals and clients, mostly home services, so like roofing clients, HVAC, um, and believe it or not, salons. We've kind of figured out the salon game. We actually had a dealer principal who came to me and said, "Hey, I have a buddy who has a salon. Can you help with that?" And I said, I've never done advertising for a salon, and look at my hair. I'm clearly not the person to help you with this. But yeah, no, it worked out. We're getting between 35 and 40 walk-ins a week actually at our salon clients. So that's been a big part of our business and our growth in the last 4 to 5 months.
Very good. What are some common misconceptions about running a business and how do you address them?
I think common misconceptions is it's all, rainbows and butterflies, and the grass is always greener on the other side, right? I think um, being an employee of a company definitely comes with its benefits, right? You're not having to wear all the hats. And I know that some of these are canned answers, and I'm sure other people will say similar things, but until you get to a certain level and you can hire people to kind of partition these responsibilities, they all fall on your shoulders to not only be the accountant of the business, but to be sales and service and all the things, and then figure out the processes and systems and standard operating procedures that ultimately grow a business and give you the ability to scale. I think the biggest misconception is um, people see the success and they see the business owners who are very successful, and they think, oh, but they don't see the hours and the 1 and 2 and 3 in the morning where you're working and everybody else is either sleeping or out with their friends on the weekend. And there really is a drive and a certain let's call it testicular or ovary fortitude that that business owners have to take the leap and go out on their own and start and do this. It definitely is scary, and anybody that says that it's not either has a big pile of money to rest on and fail. And you're constantly learning from your failures, right? So nobody has it figured out. and they figure it out. You figure it out by doing it. And I think any business owner would tell you that, especially if they're on their second or third or fourth business, that if they could go back and tell themselves on their first business or their first time that they knew what they knew then, they knew then what they know now, that they could fast track a lot of those problems. And I think that's true for everybody. So now I've been lucky and blessed because one of our founders is, he's 63. He's been the president of he's ran organizations and big companies. And so, a lot of these things were fast tracked for us too. And then the other gentleman, my other partner, Skip, is, the smartest person I know. If I'm Steve Jobs, he's Woz. Couldn't do it without him. Um, and it does take multiple people. I think it is that old adage: if you want to go far, go together. If you want to go fast, go alone. And I would give that advice to an entrepreneur if they were saying, "Hey, should I grab partners or should I do this by myself?" I would say, if you want to go faster, it is definitely going to be quicker by yourself. But if you want to go far, having multiple brains and multiple people and a team is going to help a lot. So it depends on what kind of business it is, I think. But some businesses definitely are better to have one person at the kind of that benevolent dictator, as it were. So, yeah, I hope that answers the question.
How do you maintain a work-life balance as a business owner? Do you have any personal rituals or habits that keep you motivated and focused?
Um, yeah, I think communication. So if you're married, make sure that you have communication, just as in business, as in life. Communication's key. So setting expectations for what the day ahead looks like. As far as rituals, um, yeah, I mean, I wake up in the morning. I take my daughter to school. Usually before that, I have, things that I do. And the thing about Hippo is we're all three founders are pleasantly plump. So I'm not going to be that person that's like, yeah, I get up in the morning and start working out and do all those things. I definitely think that I want to start doing those things, because I think having those ingrained in your in your day is important. Figuring out exercise, making sure that the stress is pushed off you. But right now, I work 80, 90 hours a week. And that's just not sustainable. And I'm starting to figure that out. So my advice would be to you can't pour from an empty cup. So make sure you take care of your body and take care of your mind, and families first. That'd be family's the most important thing. So if you're ever if you ever get to the point where what you're doing is taking away from your family. Now, obviously, there's going to be times where you're going to have to work those extra hours and do those things to set up the life that you want, but uh, don't ever let it. Never get your priorities out of order. So yeah. But there's kind of a really wise person told me something one time, and I think he's exactly right. There's kind of life is kind of like a three-legged stool, and you can only pay attention to two legs at one time, right? And then one of them's your health, one of them's your business, and one of them's your family. And it's very hard to keep all of those pillars of that stool perfect all the time. And usually you have to focus on two, right? So if you're focusing on your family and your health, then your business is probably going to suffer a little bit more if you're focusing too much on those two things. If you're focusing on your family and your business, then your health is probably going to suffer. And then, obviously the last one you can discern on yourself. But I think that was great advice. And so figuring out how to partition your time so that all three are taken care of in some fashion. But if you need to reallocate your time, if one needs a little bit more time, and that's the great denominator in all of this is time. It really is. No matter how many zeros you have behind your name or how much success you have, everybody has the same amount of hours in a day. So.
In a constantly evolving business landscape, how do you stay adaptable and open to change? Are there any specific strategies that you use to remain innovative?
Yeah, I think tech and more specifically artificial intelligence is going to change everything. I personally think that we're in the kind of dial-up phase of artificial intelligence. Like when AOL used to have that little guy that went across the three squares, and like the "You've Got Mail" section of it. And I think that the people who and the businesses that don't adapt to tech and artificial intelligence and use these tools, they're going to get left behind. Especially, you know, on the marketing side, the people who don't understand data and don't know how to make data work for them, and then don't know how to use these tools that are available to us are they're gonna fall by the wayside. I think in the next 5 to 10 years, the landscape's going to change much greater than it ever did in the last 20 to 30 years. So I think 1990 to 2020, we're going to see that amount of change from 2025 to 2035. And I think that the people that adapt and make moves accordingly will be very well financially, and the people who don't will be more um, uh, reliant than ever before.
Give me a glimpse now into your future plans and goals for your business. What do you envision for the next chapter of your entrepreneurial journey?
So we've been really lucky because we work with so many different types of businesses and so many startups as well. We're on the cap table and we're involved in a lot of startups. I think when I look back on my life, what will ultimately be the financial part of success will be just being involved in a multitude of businesses and startups, and obviously not all of them are going to be wildly successful, but some of them already are have huge evaluations, and we're excited to be a part of them. uh I think the future of our business, you don't ever, you always start a business with the end in mind. So, right. So like, what is the end? Is the end passing it? Are we creating a generational business where we're going to pass it to our family? Are we going to have an exit strategy and sell? And I think those things change over time. I think right now, um, our goal is to pass our company on and keep it going. Just because our core marketing business is never, it's only going to sell for a certain amount, whereas the other companies that we're involved with and that we is going to be much more revenue generating for us. I don't know how to phrase this the best way, but really for us, what we see is tech. I think we're investing. I mean, figure out IP. I mean, figure out tech, and would be my advice. And then for us personally, that's what we're doubling down on. And cash flow. I mean, just have, be a profitable business. And Yeah, that was so those are the things that we're focused on. And then as far as an exit strategy, yeah, I mean, I think when we get in our 50s and 60s, if I think we would be all crazy to say that if we had somebody offering us a big pile of money that we wouldn't take it. So, but grow it with the end in mind. And if it's selling it, then know what it takes to sell it. Know who the people that would want to have that acquisition, and then grow accordingly. And all the decisions that you make, towards that end goal. And if you want to, have a company that you can pass on to your children, then make those decisions, accordingly as well.
What advice would you offer to aspiring entrepreneurs who are, say, just starting their journey or facing challenges in their business?
Um, okay, so the ones that are just starting, uh, or are deciding to start, my answer would be just do it. Um, Depending on where you are in life. And that, but I know I'm going to retract that. Just do it because, we're all on this rock flying through space, and I think we take life so seriously, and I get that people have a mortgage and a family and all those kind of things, but if you can strategically make a move and you have a bug in you, I think entrepreneurs just have this bug. They have this, whether it's the checkbox when they're a kid that's like works well with others, right? And theirs just wasn't really checked, or corporate America. I mean, for me, corporate America just wasn't for me. I just, I was producing at a high level, and I was still being asked how many of opportunities I logged in the CRM, and I just couldn't. That to me just didn't compute. I was like, I'm producing and we're selling. Why does it matter how many things I've logged in this system, right? And so now, our company, we've built that around that. Is, I don't care if it takes you 3 hours to accomplish a task. Uh, or 8 hours. We're gonna compensate, things are gonna be compensated based upon what's being done, not necessarily how long it takes for you to do it. Um, I think that's an important part, is if you've got that itch and you think that you can do it better, do it and start and make that first or take that first step. And the first step really is the hardest. It really is scary. If you are like myself and you've got friends that are willing to take that step with you and that you trust. But also, I would caution people for partnerships too, because getting into business is like getting married. And I think getting married is the most important decision you make in your life. I think who you start a business with is just as important. Um, and then if somebody's struggling with their business, let's see, one of our parts of our business is business consultancy. I'm not trying to step over a focal point here, but we we do offer. We don't have it all figured out. Anybody that tells you that they have it all figured out in business, run for the hills. Because I can tell you, like even the bigger companies that we work with, it's surprising how they either lose track or they don't really know they lose track of things as well. So don't think that everybody's got it figured out. But if you're struggling, usually there's kind of key things that you're struggling with, right? So most companies struggle with sales, honestly, which is what we help with, which is getting leads to them, getting opportunity, having opportunities to sell the product or service that they have. Um, and then there are, this is the inverse, and there's the companies that are really good at selling, but don't have a good product or service, right? So they're constantly have that churn. So it really is figuring out, it's both. You got to have a good product and service and offer great customer service, which I think the bedrock of any business is customer service because we all want to be treated and well. So you got to have great customer service, and then you've got to have a great product, and then you've got to be able to sell it. But if there's a problem in the business, usually it's one of those three, um, and or it's just mismanagement of cash flow. So I think sometimes just those basic financial principles of don't spend money you don't have, be strategic on how on your understanding of your cash flow, and yeah, that's kind of the core. Those would be the things that I would give advice on a business right off the bat. Um, and then I don't know. There's just so many situations. I think about it, and then in the last couple of years, there's just been so many situations that I've seen of why there could be a problem in a business, and sometimes the answer is just quit because it's just not going to work. And some people, or just fundamentally change a part of your business, or invest in yourself, or invest in some of them just don't have the infrastructure, and they need advice on what programs to use and what they can do to facilitate and adapt to the changing landscape. And so we help with that too. So those would be my pieces of advice. Got a little long-winded on that one. So let me sit here going, all right, man, I give you 15 minutes. You took 45. Oh man.
Thank you so much for your time today, Scotty. It was great meeting you and learning more about your entrepreneurial journey.
Thanks.
And to everyone watching, I look forward to seeing you in our next episode.